Human activity is playing a key part in eroding our ecological foundation. Human activities have already severely altered 75% of land and 66% of marine environments. Around 25% of plant and animal species are threatened by human actions, with 1 million species facing extinctions, and many within decades. And you can see some examples on the graphic here. Over 85% of wetlands have been lost. 50% of coral reefs have been destroyed. And coral reefs are not just pretty to look at, but they're actually quite important because more than a quarter of all marine fish species actually live in coral reefs. So that's quite a significant decline. And in a business as usual scenario, more than 99% of coral reefs will be lost. We do often hear that the past 50 years have been unprecedented in human history, with the extraordinary increase in economic output. And that is probably the case. But as we can see, this growth has come at a heavy cost to the natural systems. I'm sure you have seen the 2023 Global Risk Report by the World Economic Forum. It was published a bit earlier this year. So maybe I can just go over it very briefly as a reminder. But what this report has shown us, at least in our opinion, is that we are unprepared to tackle biodiversity issues at this stage. The risks which business leaders have identified to be the most pressing. And what we think is quite puzzling is that a number of the short-term risks identified include climate change threats such as failure to mitigate climate change. It's ranked as number 4, and a failure of climate change adaptation ranked as number 7. And this to us implies that there is a lack of understanding of the interdependence of climate and nature. You'll also see ranked as number 9 in the short term are natural resource crises, which again would imply a concern over nature and biodiversity issues. And at Planet Tracker, we examined the top short-term risks which the World Economic Forum has identified. And we have found that half of them could be affected by biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse. Commonly circulated statistic that I'm sure a lot of you would have also heard is that roughly half of global GDP is moderately or highly dependent on nature. I think recently it was PwC who have published a report increasing that dependency slightly, but we want to challenge that notion a little bit that it's just half of GDP that is highly or moderately dependent, because we do think that ultimately the entire global economy is dependent on nature. First of all, get started. I know it might seem overwhelming, and we sometimes wait for perfect to be out there before we start with anything, but I think it shouldn't stand in the way. We have a lot of options available now. I would highly encourage you to look at the TNFD suggestions on how to use that LEAP process and really think about how, in a fast step, really mapping out and helping you as an organization understand what is your impact and dependency on nature, because it's a two-way street, right? And really locating what's happening there, making sure you can evaluate it, assess it, and then you'll be able to prepare.